Hello everybody and welcome to the WM32 podcast. This week, with it being International Week, we are going to be talking about England, reviewing their performance last night against Kosovo, and then looking into what could happen with the squad and any particular changes and whatnot for the upcoming Euros that are starting this summer. So Connor, last night's game, talk to me.
Poor start. First couple of minutes, very poor. Obviously conceded early. Got back into it very quickly. Game was finished by half time, pretty much. Good for Sancho to get on the score sheet. But at half time, you would have thought we could go out, make this record, absolutely hammer them. Come out second half, quite sluggish. Concede two sloppy goals. Your boy, Mr. Penn.
Proves he's human. But yeah, I think obviously, like you said, sloppy start from England yesterday. Liked the attitude that the lads showed, to bring it back initially, and then I think they just started sensing blood, especially in the first half, and then I don't know, second half they just seemed to take the foot off the gas a little bit, and yeah, we know the game was by and large won by them, but mistakes have cost England a couple of goals. Obviously, with all three you could argue were mistakes done by England. It wasn't as if Kosovo really carved England open with any of the goals.
Exactly.
The first one, obviously, the square pass from Keane, and they've punished it, which happens at international level. You make mistakes and you do get punished.
Happens at any level. Like, these players are good enough to know not to make these mistakes or to be able to deal with the mistakes. But being 5-1 up in a game, bear in mind we shouldn't be conceding 3 goals at home to anyone, let alone Kosovo. I don't care if the game was won. That's just poor. It's like, I've always had problems with Southgate as a manager. I've never liked him. Thought he can motivate water to be wet until 2018. Then a few beers later and I'm chanting.
Yeah.
But it just seemed that there was a lack of something at the back. I don't know what it was. I can't put my finger on it, but there was just constant mistakes. And you make that against, say, Germany or France, you're not scoring 5 goals against them. You're getting absolutely rinsed.
So was it more of a case of, then, do you think, playing style-wise, obviously we know that Southgate likes to have the ball and keep it, England possession-based team. Is it down to that, or was it perhaps, say, balance of the team, or something else?
Well, we can't really say, it's because we play out with the ball and he likes to play out with the ball, because almost every team, apart from Burnley, in the Prem, likes to play with the ball at their feet at the back. We see it. Every defender, every midfielder in England should be comfortable with the ball at their feet. It's what they're taught. Maybe it's the players we had out, because for a game against Kosovo to have Hendo... No, it wasn't Hendo, was it?
Hendo started.
Yeah, Hendo started. I was working, so I only watched the game at about 3 o'clock this morning. So, excuse me if I've got some things wrong. But
so the midfield was Hendo, Rice and Barkley.
Yeah, right.
With Rice being the deepest one out of the 3.
That's quite conservative, to be honest.
I mean, and it was the same midfield against Bulgaria at the weekend as well. So is it
is
you putting it down to tired legs, or?
To be fair, the fact that I didn't remember that Rice played says a little bit. But that's quite conservative against, and we still scored 5 goals.
Yeah.
But you'd think, this is 2 games where we can go out, we can let players have a bit of freedom, because weaker sides in the group, realistically, you could have had a midfield with maybe one of Hendo or Rice, and then have Mount or Maddison playing, and you could have actually gone for it. And because don't get me wrong, for a spectator's point of view, great game.
Yeah.
But looking at it going, you've got to get that team to what we want as a minimum semi-final at the Euros. And making sloppy decisions and mistakes like that will cost us.
So, I mean, you mentioned it there, that obviously the Euros and things like that this summer. I think Gareth's got a few decisions to make in certain positions. How do you see the makeup of the squad.
To be fair, this is possibly the best squad we've had since the early noughties. Like when we had like Beck's, Gerrard, Lampard's goals as like a midfield problem. Now you're looking at you've got Ox to come back, you've got Ali to come back, you've got. To be fair, you've got two. I hate to say it, world-class strikers competing for one striker spot in Kane and Rashford. Then you've got people like Sterling, Sancho. You got. Where would you play Dave? Would you play him in the midfield or would you play him in the front three?
Who, Delhi?
Yeah.
I think Delhi, for me, he is probably best playing as a number 10. Whether England are going to go that route,
If you look at the last two games, he's played a 4-3-3.
Yeah. Is that down to, though? I mean, he's had a 10. He's had a couple of 10s realistically in there.
Yeah.
But is Southgate perhaps set on a 4-3-3? And I think if that is the case, then, or is it a deeper midfielder and then two 10s, or is it a deeper midfielder and then two number 8s?
If you think about it, you could play Delhi or Maddison as like how Leverkusen play Kai Havertz as a roaming 8 where he can do what he wants.
Yeah.
But then you've got to have two people or one person next to him who is an absolute machine defensively. Don't get me wrong, Kai Havertz does a lot of defensive work. But you'll have to have someone like that. And England don't have that. They don't have like an N'Golo Kante who will just not stop running. You're going to have at the base of that midfield Declan Rice, Harry Winks, or Hendo. And out of that three, you'd prefer Winks, but Hendo's loved by Southgate, and for some reason he keeps picking Declan Rice.
I mean, you even missed out Eric Dyer, who's somebody that can play in that role as well. Obviously, Dyer can also play as a centre back as well.
Because what you're going to want, because we've got our full-back options are absolutely mad. So you're looking, Trent will probably start as our starting right back, and you're looking at either Rose, Shaw or Chilwell. You're going to want someone in that holding role that's happy to drop into a back three. And Dyer is probably more suited to that out of any of them. So you could go Dyer, but then you're looking at a midfield. You've got Maddison, Delhi, Ox, Rice, Hendo, Dyer. There's more in there as well. Mount or some of the younger players coming through that you could easily throw in there, and they would be pretty comfortable. So you're looking at what, 23-man squad?
Yeah.
You're looking as a good 10 central midfielders that you have to pick from.
Yeah. We've talked briefly about, and you've spoken just then about full-backs, the right-back position.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'd hate to be a young English right-back at the minute because if I look...
play yourself, so...
if I was to look at the right-back position for England, I reel off some names, but Carl Walker, Kieran Trippier, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, then you go Max Aarons, Steven Sessegnon, Dujon Sterling, Reece James. There's 8 off the top of my head.
That's disgusting, but 2 of them definitely shouldn't. One of them definitely shouldn't be in the squad. Trips has had a very poor 12 to 18 months and shouldn't have been picked for that squad. But
then obviously he's moved to Atletico Madrid. By all accounts, has done and has started the season very, very well under Diego Simeone, who we know is
a brilliant defensive coach.
A notorious coach for defending.
If you're thinking about it, you've got 2 of the best young right backs in the world in your squad, and Trippier's playing over them. I'd rather have Trent or Aaron on the Aaron Wan-Bissaka, or right back. Trent with his deliveries, perfect. You're looking, Kane's an aerial threat. Rashford's decent in the air. If you're whipping balls into him, you're going to score goals as well. Like, we saw that we used, when we played in the 2018 World Cup, there was a lot of crossing to use that. And Trent's crossing is outrageous. So he needs to be starting. So, goalkeeper-wise, you've got Pickford, that's going to be our number 1.
Well, if we go on to goalkeepers then, because we've got Pickford, as you've mentioned there, is probably going to be the number 1. You've got Nick Pope at Burnley, solid goalkeeper in my opinion.
Yeah, very good.
Then you've got Jack Butland, Tom Heaton, as you mentioned there, Dean Henderson at Sheffield United, on loan at Sheffield United. Then you've got Angus Gunn at Southampton. So I mean, there's 6 goalkeepers. I mean, you can only take 3 of them.
Yeah.
So who probably is missing out? Is it Gunn, Henderson, and a other? Is that a other Butland, Heaton?
Yeah, that's the thing. You're looking for a younger player to try and break into this squad, or a player on the verge of breaking in. You're sort of hoping for an injury or a off season for someone. So it's like, we know Dele and Ox are going to come back fine, but if Mount or Maddison wants to go, they've rather got to hope that they don't perform as well, or someone else picks up an injury. And it's the same in the goalkeeper or the full backs or up top. You've got to hope that someone has a down season or is injured by the time it comes round. So you're looking at your 3 goalkeepers. It's going to be Pickford, Heaton, and I'd take Jack Butland. Actually no, drop Heaton, Pope and Butland. Then any of those keepers, class shot stoppers, decent with their feet, then you're looking at it going forward. Every other position, everyone is hoping for someone to have an off-season or an injury to get into that squad if they are nailed on starters. So you're looking like Harry Maguire will go, John Stones will go, 100%, unless whatever happens. Looking, who's going to be our starting left back?
I mean, I think the left back position is up for grabs the most. Personally, I would say out of that England squad and the England team, I think the left back's probably the one that is, like I say, the most up for grabs, because I think we've got obviously Danny Rose, Ben Chilwell, Luke Shaw, who are all at a decent level, and I think there's just so many sort of pros and cons for both, or all 3, should I say. I think all brilliant going forward, modern day fullbacks, which is great. Defensively, I would probably say that Danny Rose isn't the best out of them 3. Defensively, there's been times even this season playing for Spurs he's been caught out a few times, which for somebody of his age to still be making and still getting caught out defensively is a little bit of a worry. And then there's other things such as delivery and balls into the box. Again, you can make a case for all 3, but I think all 3 of them have competent delivery. I wouldn't say they're outstanding as in the sense of like a Robertson is or whatnot from those positions. So I think left back's probably the one that is up for grabs the most. I also think maybe centre half as well, because like you mentioned, I think Maguire's the one that's going to go. Is a dead cert, but then it's like, well, who's going to partner him? Is it Stones? Is it Michael Keane? And then it's like Joe Gomez. Is it going to be one of those 3? Again, it is. There's a few, and obviously James Tarkowski at Burnley's had a taste of the international scene, but then hasn't really managed to get his way back into it. But I think if you're looking for somebody that first and foremost is a defender, and then can play a little bit similar to Maguire, then Tarkowski's probably the one that's the most similar, I would say, to Maguire. Front players, wingers, I think we've got some good, very good,
very good options
and exciting options. I mean, Sterling and Sancho last night were electric, but then you've got Hudson-Odoi to come back. Rashford can play wide as well.
That's the thing, you say Rashford can play wide, but you look at all his numbers, like when he's got good numbers for a centre forward when it comes to dribbling, passing, take on and stuff like that. But if you put him out wide, you sort of you don't get the same out of him, if you know what I mean. So you lose part of his game because he's not as good doing it in a wide position, having to get into a central area. And his delivery isn't great from across either.
No, but I think with Rashford, it's more of a, I'm going to get the ball, I'm going to cut in, and then I'm going to shoot majority of the time. But I mean, like I say, Rashford can play wide as well. And then obviously centre forwards, you've got Kane, who Captain Kane, so he's down, he's going.
Yeah.
You know, you've got Rashford again, Callum Wilson at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Then is it a case? Are we making a case then for Tammy Abraham, who started the season very well for Chelsea? Do you think he was unlucky, perhaps not get a call up this time round?
Yeah, maybe he was a little bit unlucky. He could have been in the squad, but it's also the fact of, would you take him if he's not going to play? Because like you look at taking Mount and Maddison, who could have easily started both games, and
But it was only Mount that got minutes.
Yeah, it was only Mount that got minutes. It's like, do you see that tweet where it's like it's 2030, a month before the World Cup, and James Maddison still hasn't been called out?
Yeah, I did see that. I did see that as well. And then obviously you've got maybe even Dominic Calvert-Lewin at Everton. Yeah. I mean, he's one that has played down the middle, has also played off the right as well in his career.
And you're also forgetting you've got someone that can fit in on either wing and in the 10 role as Jesse Lingard.
Yeah.
So when everyone speaks about how good France's squad depth are, ours is good, but it's not of the same calibre.
Is it? So is that then the next thing that England have got to do from I'd probably say a talent ID or a talent development perspective, is get players that are of a top class level. That, I mean, obviously at youth level we have competed with Spain, Germany, Holland, France and whatnot, but is it actually now at senior level where we need to start competing? Because, you know, we go through these qualifiers and we usually breeze through them, but then something happens at tournaments.
Have you seen our qualifying record since 2009?
Yeah.
42 played, 33 wins, 9 draws.
Yeah.
So we're clearly good in the qualifiers, because 9 times out of 10 we get quite poor teams in our group, and we get to the bigger games and just seem to bottle it. But we've got an exciting squad going into this tournament, and the fact of you've got a semi-final and a final at Wembley, both semi-finals and a final at Wembley. If that isn't enough to push that squad to go, we could be having a final at Wembley. It won't. That alone should be what gets them there, wanting to play in a final at home.
And then, so we've looked at obviously the makeup then of the squad. Is there going to be that one player, that surprise package that's going to come virtually out of nowhere in the Euro squad in the summer?
So you're thinking wild card to get in the squad? You say Tammy would be a wild card if he got in the squad, because everyone's saying he should get a call up and he's just not. So if it comes round and he hasn't had a call up until the Euros and he gets pulled in, yeah, it's a wild card. But yet again, you're looking at if someone gets injured or someone has a poor season, we're looking at a wild card. You can have, but who would change the squad if they came in?
This is the thing. I'm just thinking about it myself, and Foden.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, we scored 2 goals last night.
Yeah, he scored in the 21s fixture on Monday night.
Monday even. What day are we?
Wednesday today. Come on. Yeah, but then is it a case of that, like, obviously it's dependent on form, injuries and whatnot, but like I say, usually when it comes to a tournament you get the one sort of surprise where everybody's going, whoa.
How did he get in?
Yeah, I mean we had it at the last Euros in France when it was Rashford that was the surprise out of anybody.
We're looking at it like, say one of our wingers gets injured towards the end of the season, one wild card that could go in is easily Reece Nelson.
Yeah.
He's similar type to, I'm not saying he's anywhere near the talent level yet of a Jadon or a Sterling, but he's of a similar style of player. He could go. You're even looking at, I'm going to go a little bit Arsenal here, Maitland-Niles, good centre mid, also can fill in at right back if there's injuries, like we've seen that. But I'd say Reece Nelson would be a bit of a wild card to get in that squad. All it needs is like an off season for Jadon or someone like that who's on the peripheries of getting in the squad fully.
But I mean, you say that, but like, Sterling started the season on fire. Sancho has continued his form from last season.
Yeah, but
Kane is in good form.
We saw it with Sane, and Germany have just gone, well, we can replace him. So if hopefully it doesn't happen to one of our bigger players, injured like that, 8 months, 9 months out, you're looking at someone to fill that gap. He could do that, and he hasn't scored yet, but he started the season quite well at Arsenal. Didn't play against Spurs, but game against Newcastle was good. Game against Burnley was decent as well. He's someone that can come in and fill a role.
Anything else? In terms
Who
of
would be the players for you that shouldn't go in the squad?
Very good question. Very, very good question. I personally don't think Butland should go. If I'm looking at his career, say since he's gone to Stoke, obviously he got his move to Stoke, and everybody was like, right, okay. Was it being a case of in a couple of years, then he'll get a move to a bigger club in the Premier League? See, that hasn't materialised. A lot of people thought he would go this summer. Again, that hasn't materialised. I don't know if he's got a hangover from that, because he has made some very big mistakes for Stoke. Not only the start of this season, but last season as well. And even in the season that they went down, there was some mistakes from Jack Butland.
Yeah.
That, as a goalkeeper, you make a mistake, 9 times out of 10 it's a goal.
Yeah.
So Butland wouldn't be. I think his career's just stagnated a bit too much.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know realistically. I don't think Lewis Dunk on the periphery of the been involved in a few squads. I don't think he will go. It's not a case of do I think he, but is he at that level where we need internationally? Probably not. And then
you could think about maybe a couple of the right backs, maybe, because you're looking at Trent possibly being our starter. Would you need a Walker or a Trippier going?
So I would still have Kyle Walker.
Yeah,
I think.
Would you take Trippier over maybe taking Wan-Bissaka with tournament experience as well?
No, but then do we need 3 right backs?
No.
So
but you also look at it. Kyle Walker can slot in at centre back.
He could probably play as the right-sided centre-back in a 3, which he tends to... That's the position that he tends to find himself in at times at City. When City play, a lot of the time Kyle Walker actually plays as a right and finds himself in the right-sided centre-back slot anyway. So people going on about in last summer when... or the summer before when Southgate at the World Cup was playing him as a right-sided centre half, and everybody's going, "Oh, this is genius." Well, actually, Walker had been doing it for City anyway, so it wasn't that much of a drastic change. I'd still take Kyle Walker. I still think he's probably is England's best fullback going forward. Offers so much, flying into he flies into challenges and stuff like that. But he's quick up and down get up and down. Learn a lot defensively.
At the start of the season, he has seemed to lose a step, just a little bit in pace. Where if he starts to take a decline over the season, then we can start to question it.
Yeah, but I think he's working under a manager that demands 100% every single day, and every single minute that you're in training. So I can't see any let up really in Kyle Walker's game. I do like James Maddison. I think he's one that will go, but then it's like, right, well,
who drops out?
Yeah, is it Barkley? Because the 2 games this time around, I don't think Barkley's really.
Barkley's career stagnated quite.
The last sort of couple of seasons anyway, his career sort of picked back up a little bit. Obviously, he had injury problems when he first got to Chelsea, but I want more from Ross Barkley. I don't think I'm getting more from Ross Barkley when I see him. I think sometimes he takes too many touches when he doesn't need to. If we even look at Kosovo's first goal, He had time to turn and drive forward, but he chose a safe option to play, and then all of a sudden didn't then think, oh, I could be another option to play. I think probably holding midfield is an area that we'd need to look at. I think it'll probably go with Rice, but then it's sort of like when I see Declan Rice play for West Ham, very good player. When I see Declan Rice play for England, half the time I'm pulling my hair out because, I mean, there's times where he should be looking to get on the ball and doesn't get on it, and that come from the Nations League.
Yeah.
When he's playing there, so it's one of those. But and then forward wise, pick your names out of a hat.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Pick them out of a hat, and we'll roll with it. I think. You've got like you mentioned, will Lingard go? But then it's like, well, if Lingard doesn't go, are we really going to miss?
No.
Jesse Lingard.
You're looking at the players to come back from injury as well. You're looking at Hudson-Odoi, Ali fully fit, Stones fully fit, Ox fully fit,
Loftus-Cheek fully fit. Loftus-Cheek for me is a fantastic player.
You could line up with, if you really wanted to go all out this summer, you could line up with midfield three of Ox, Ali, and Loftus-Cheek, and have Ox as a slightly deeper player because he's done it before.
Yeah, but then, I mean, I'm not saying that midfield couldn't win the book, but you need an enforcer and somebody who's going to dictate.
Well, who is an enforcer in that England midfield anyway? Because Rice isn't great at it. Winks is more of a high volume passer, not.
Winks is a deep sort of playmaker.
And then Hendo is not going to be charging into tackles and absolutely flying out at people.
But then, I think if he was to pick one out of the names mentioned, it would probably be Henderson, just for the fact that he's done it more over a longer period of time for Liverpool, and it's getting on the ball, but then also distributing it well. Obviously, second half of last season, Klopp started to play him further forward because of the form of Fabinho, but when he was in there, he actually was quite an important player for Liverpool in the end. And I think Hendo is one that will go round and try and stamp his authority on play.
Yeah, and that is probably England's weakest point, is that proper holding up.
Yeah, and that's probably why they've tried and ultimately got him, but they went and got Declan Rice.
Yeah.
Because they needed somebody who could do. I think Rice will get there. So if there's any West Ham fans, don't kill me. But I think Rice will get there. I just think at the minute, in an England shirt, he just looks a little bit.
He's almost
out of sorts.
Yeah, it's like when we used to play, like back in early noughties, people used to go. People seem scared to do stuff in an England shirt because they know they'll get absolutely hounded by the media, and it's even worse now because if you make a mistake at international level and it costs us a big tournament or whatever, you'll get hounded. Remember when Kane didn't pass Sterling?
Yeah.
Ball against Croatia, got hounded.
He's still getting hounded for it now.
Yeah, he is. Or Beckham's little like kick out at Simeone, and even bear in mind Michael Owens and how we're talking about it. That's a conversation for a different day.
Yeah.
Michael Owen on his own, isn't he?
But
it's almost like people don't want to be the one that makes a mistake.
I don't think it's that from Declan Rice. In his case, I don't think he's scared to, because I think that aspect of playing for England has now gone. And I think that's come from the manager, and I think also the fact that when we've had squads before, there's always been players that have carried it. Have carried. Whereas it's almost as if they're all gone now, and it's like, right, okay, well, we can just sort of go out. Southgate's creating an environment where the boys, can go out and express themselves, and they all seem together. There's no little cliques or anything like that. So I wouldn't say it's that from Declan Rice in his instance anyway. I just think there just needs to be some fine tuning in his game if he wants to be a real top sort of holding midfield player.
Yeah.
like I say, he has to be the one that is almost like a magnet half the time, where he's just on the ball constantly.
Just turning, playing.
And
if you're looking for someone that does that, Winks is a great player for that. Will happily get on the ball no matter what.
Yeah, and
will turn and play and do that side of the game.
Yeah, and I think Harry Winks for me is probably one of the most underrated midfield players in the league. And I think if he wasn't a Tottenham player, he'd get more attention. That's my personal opinion, because what he does.
Hemel Hempstead Iniesta.
I'd say he's more Xavi, to be honest. Give it. But with Winks, I think Tottenham towards the end of last season missed him so much. There was a period of about 6 to 8 games where Tottenham sort of struggled to keep the ball at times, and it was frustrating to watch. But when Winks is there, we keep the ball a lot better. And
he's also quite a funny lad. Did you see him on Liga Derecho the other day?
He is quite funny. But with Winks, I think his game, since he's broken into the Spurs team, I think it was a 5-10 yard passes, keep it safe, everything like that. And then I think as he's got more games and more into the team and established himself now, he's mixing his game up. Like, he can now play those short little passes, but can also switch play as well, which in that type of position is very, very important.
Yeah.
Very, very important.
So, what else is there really for this England squad? What we expected? What's your expectations for this tournament?
I don't have any, if I'm honest. I don't. I've been watching England, and it's like, it's just good to watch England now. So let's just enjoy it, and let's just go. Well, wherever we finish, we finish. Like, let's not go.
A lot of people are saying if we don't get to a semis, it is quite poor from us.
But then look at the competition that we're going to be facing. You've got a resurgent Dutch nation, a Dutch team and squad, a Dutch nation with the players that they've got at the minute. You've got Germany, who, all right, they've had a bit of a dip recently, but you can never rule out the Germans in anything.
No.
You've got France, and as you mentioned, their squad depth is stacked in near enough every position. Portugal with Cristiano Ronaldo, and you can never rule him out of anything.
Well, let's face it, they played last night, and it had to be a Ronaldo hat-trick to keep them from. I watched part of the game on my break, and they were quite poor.
But you have Cristiano who can pull something out at any time. You've got Italy who are strong as well. So there's Belgium who have still got their golden generation, even though it may be coming to its end. They've still got that golden generation of players, and I think there was even one time with Belgium you could have a 1 to 11 of Belgian players that were just playing in the Premier League, but they were all of a quality that you go, I wouldn't really fancy playing against them. If we get it's draw dependent, because you could get a really, really tricky, like we could get France in last 16 of quarters and get knocked out. Are we then saying that's a failed tournament by England's standards, or are we going to go, actually, we've played a top nation, we've played the World Cup holders, and whatnot. So like I say, for me it's just a case of let's just go enjoy watching England and watching this group of players play together on the big stage. I don't know about you, in terms of your expectations for England in the summer.
I'm looking that, for me, it doesn't matter where we finish in the tournament, as long as we're playing good football again. Because what I was like during that World Cup, I was like, we're getting far, but we're not actually playing good football. I didn't like the brand of football we played in that World Cup, but we're now playing a much better brand of football where we're controlling, apart from last night, controlling games and actually playing football, not just like letting it be a mess and winning a game. So as long as we're playing good football, for me that's what matters, and seeing the likes of Sterling and Jadon absolutely rip people apart is going to be so enjoyable. If we make it to a semi or we make it to a final, then both being at Wembley, I'm pretty sure me and you will be there screaming.
We can hope. But like I said, I think you know, like you mentioned, obviously the semi-final and finals being at Wembley could act as something for the lads and motivate them.
Yeah,
to try.
If you're looking at it in that squad, you're thinking, this is possibly my only chance to play in a semi-final or final for my country in my home country.
Yeah.
And like even when the French squad lost in the Euros in France, they were like, the motivation to get us to that final was enough.
Yeah.
So a lot of players will go off of that. So you never know, could happen. Saw you in the group chat last night say it was coming home at 5-1.
Well, I think everybody was convinced that at 5-1 it was coming home. I mean, you know, at that point I think everybody was thinking this could be a cricket score here.
It should have been.
You know, so then were England wasteful then, in your eyes, from what you saw last night?
From my viewing at 3 o'clock this morning, it was very wasteful. Yeah, I thought we were just too laid back, like it was obviously it was a certified win anyway, but they were almost there like it's a certified win from a minute ago, and you saw Kosovo scoring early, and then the England players went, okay, maybe not, and they fell back into that with them in the second half where they're like, oh, don't worry, we've got this, it's fine, instead of going for the throat. You wouldn't see, could you imagine the Germans if they were 5-1 up at half time and conceded 2 goals? Remember when they beat Brazil 7-1 and they were annoyed that they conceded 1?
Yeah, I remember that one.
So, you look at other, it might just be we were just sloppy, which we were, but that needs to be ironed out before the Euros. Because you're going to look at other countries being like, if they conceded 3 goals, there'd be an inquest into that with the Germans. They'd not be happy, they would not be impressed about that, against Kosovo as well. So,
I think people may be disregarding Kosovo because they've been on a long unbeaten run and played some fairly decent nations in that as well. I know obviously with the qualifying, you know, the group isn't probably the greatest, but they are a new nation, and I think the way they've acquitted themselves in the group so far to be in the position that they're in.
Them at all. I'm just saying it from a standpoint of being 5-1 up. Only because it happened to Kosovo, I'm saying that it's Kosovo. But if you're 5-1 up against anyone, and you can see 2 goals and let them back into the game, if you're playing a better side or with a bit more quality in it, you're possibly drawing or losing that game. So to concede 2 goals at being 5-1 up and letting someone back into the game is just poor. So it just needs to be ironed out, and we should be alright.
Should be alright?
Should be alright.
Alright. Guys, that concludes our England special for today. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe.